We're at the California Dairy Campaign annual meeting with the Merced River behind us near Livingston, California. I'm with Mark Mcafee, who's a producer from Fresno, actually an organic producer, milking about 600 cows. Mark has been very active in the California Dairy Campaign and the California Farmers Union. He recently participated in the Albany meeting that was held, attracting a national audience, and he's spoke there, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the three-legged stool program that the California Dairy Campaign is advocating to help reform milk marketing in the U.S. Mark, tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Well, we have a dairy crisis. We've got a real dairy crisis, and it's small, medium, and large dairies that are in crisis across the United States. Doesn't matter if you're in New England, and Wisconsin, Arizona, California. All of them are suffering, and the dairy economists at the Dairy Summit that I was at in Albany said that we could have another 3 years of this low milk price, prices below cost of production. We've already had 4 years. That means a 7-year spell, and we've never seen more than about a 3-year time. So this is a time where all dairymen are really suffering and having really big pain. And if there's ever a time to change, that's the time to get people motivated, not when high prices are happening, but really low prices that are going to sustain over the long term. So that the Dairy Summit in Albany was sponsored by Agrimark and was attended by about 350 people. About 90 to 100 dairymen showed up, and I spoke there presenting our three-legged stool plan. I spent quite a bit of time in Canada. I spent time with Canadians here in California and elsewhere to learn their program, and I've also learned a lot about our program in the United States, which is kind of a non-program. It's a program that takes really deep advantage of dairymen. And our Sustainable Milk Inventory System Act would require an act of Congress because it requires all dairymen to work together, regardless of where they are by region. So we capitalize on leveraging the incredible structure we already have in the federal milk marketing order, where we have all these different milk marketing orders with great USDA accounting for all the milk, where it comes from and where it goes to. Now what we need to do is interject a farmer board at each of those federal milk marketing orders to work with the USDA to identify price above cost of production by region, supply maximums by quota. The bankers love this because it makes the farmers pay their bills. It makes the farmers be able to pay their bill to the bank. It makes the farmers sustainable and profitable. It puts an asset on their balance sheet of quota, which is worth a lot of money. In Canada, they've actually maxed the quota limit at $25,000 because it's so valuable. But that quota is given for free to the dairymen, and it sustains them, and they're issued more quota as time and supply and demand increases uniformly across America by region. So, you know, right now we've got milk trucks bringing milk from California to Indiana. We've got milk crisscrossing in the night back and forth without any coordination whatsoever. Very non-green. Spend a lot of diesel, a lot of time and energy to move milk at great cost. We're spending $5 to $7 a hundredweight just to move milk. Why doesn't that stay in the farmer's pocket? Why don't we think more smartly about a plan which puts the power back in the farmers to regulate the three-legged stool? Supply, price, and import, export. We're totally export. We love to export. Let's make sure that that's excess milk we produce, not the basic milk that feeds our families. It's often said that, you know, it's much cheaper if you steal it. And that's what's going on right now. When you have $3 to $4 per hundredweight less than the cost of production being paid to the farmers, the processors love that, and the farmers are languishing because of it.
With your program, how will processors be involved, and what do you think their reaction is going to be?
Well, they'll be involved. There's a tried and proven method by which they'll be involved, very much so. By region, they will simply say, this is how much milk we need this next year. Great. If we need more than that, we issue more quota, and the farmers will immediately respond by producing more milk. The prices set for that milk will be set by the farmers at that region. So, you know, it's interesting that when there's comparisons made between the Canadian program, which has something like this, and not exactly, but kind of like it, where you have regional farmer boards setting prices and supply, and it's interesting to note that when you compare the prices of consumer retail products for Canada, butter, cream, milk, they're the same as the United States within pennies, sometimes lower. So it is distributing the wealth across the food chain properly so the consumers, retailers, processors, and farmers equally share. To increase the milk to a price which is sustainable really doesn't hurt anybody at all. In fact, it helps people because you can predict what's going to happen next year and plan for it, instead of having, well, that dairy used to be a business, now I can't get milk there, I have to close my plant and move someplace else. That costs a fortune. It's really a non-economically effective way to run a primary food system which pays its bills. And we're not paying our bills in America. We have bankruptcies and suicides and crazy stuff going on, instead of really thinking about how we want to treat our farmers and treat our food supply.
We're speaking with Mark Mcafee here at the California Dairy Campaign. He's just talked a little bit about the program that's going to be discussed here at this meeting. We'll watch for more results, and we'll also be publishing more information about it.
If I could add one more thing.
Sure.
We do have very good support from both sides of the aisle, and somebody that doesn't really sit on the aisle, Bernie Sanders. So we got Bernie Sanders. We're talking to Mr. Jim Costa this evening. We're talking to other people next week. And so we're working on both sides of the aisle to gain a consensus, because it doesn't cost $1 to do this for the taxpayer. This is a dairy-funded kind of operation, which is really stabilizing things, so you don't have to worry about taxpayers being upset about paying subsidies.
You heard it here. This is Joel Hastings speaking for Dairy Business News.